Welcome back, everybody, to the Jurassic Park Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Jost, and as always, for unique coverage like this, I have my good friend here, Tom Jurassic, to help me cover Season 2 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. The two of us, we covered Season 1. We've talked about a lot of stuff over the years, obviously. In terms of like covering television, we've covered Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous all the way through, and then Jurassic World Chaos Theory all the way through. And we're like, let's branch out a little bit. Let's do something else. So last time around, we did Monarch Season 1, and we watched it live with everybody else, and recorded as soon as possible and got those episodes up. This time around, doing things a little bit differently. We actually contacted Apple, and we're like, hey, is it okay? Can we get some screeners for this show? And they obliged and sent over the screeners to both of us, and we're able to bring you a little bit of coverage early on. So if you're an old listener of the Jurassic Park Podcast, you're used to us talking. If you're finding us just from Monarch and the Godzilla monsterverse of it all, welcome. This is what we do, and I hope you enjoy it. But thank you to Apple for letting us watch this early this season and provide some coverage. And today we're going to be talking about our non-spoiler thoughts, spoiler-free, so don't worry. We've seen varying levels of the season so far. Tom has maybe seen the whole thing. I've only gotten the chance to watch through the first half of it, but I'm catching up. But this is, again, spoiler-free, so I don't have to worry about the spoilers. I don't want to be spoiled either. So, Tom, don't spoil it for me, okay? Anyway, I'll let you talk, Tom.
I feel so much pressure.
How are you doing? Are you excited about this? Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So as any of you who are watching on YouTube will be able to see, I am sat in a tactical vest and I have ordered a Monarch patch to go on this vest. So that is the level of commitment I have got to the bit. I really enjoyed the first season of this show. I think Monarch as an organization is so interesting. I think that whole kind of governmental response to something like megafauna really resonates with us as Jurassic fans in terms of what we've seen throughout the franchise being on the mainland for some of the movies now. So yeah, I've got really sucked into it. And I think Monarch, especially in the MonsterVerse films, has always been presented as quite a slick organization. They're quite high tech, particularly in King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. So it's quite cool getting to actually take what is essentially a background organization and to some extent background characters and bring them to the forefront with a unique story that is very much human first, but with a sprinkling of Titans throughout. So yeah, I love this show and I'm really excited that we've got more of it, really.
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit, but it's still shocking to me that this series is real. And we've gotten a live action television show for the Monsterverse here before any Jurassic live action television show that's been producing stuff since the 1990s. But obviously Godzilla's been around for a lot longer than that. But as far as the Monsterverse is concerned, a little bit less. So it's a great show. I love this show so much, and I love this universe. Like, it's such a great universe. And I think me and you personally, we talk a lot about canon, right? We're always talking about canonical ties between the Jurassic television animation shows and the movies and whatever else they may release over time. So that's why I feel like this is good for us, because like that's what this show and this franchise does really, really well. Like, better than Jurassic. Straight up, they just do it better. Canonical ties, like really like working through the history of this universe and just kind of showing us how are all these people related, where did this technology come from, where did this thing come from, where'd that monster come from. So it's really giving us absolutely everything you could really want, as well as, like you said, it's just truly a human story. And that, honestly, like, I love the monster stuff, but the human stuff, dude, it's getting me like really well. So I love it, man. It is
Yeah,
so much fun. But that's my thoughts, at least on just the saga
it's awesome.
itself. I really love it, and I know you're just as big of probably a bigger fan because you're the guy I go to when I'm like, so what
Yeah.
year, what is this? Because honestly, like there's some things
It's almost as
happening,
if we
and
were talking about that before we came on air, Brad.
yeah, literally just a minute ago, I was like, what year? Wait, what's happening? So there's some things that like, yeah, I think I go to Tom and I'm like, this guy's gonna know it. He knows all the details. He's you know what? If you've never watched a Jurassic Park podcast episode, he's gonna be like, let me blow your mind a little bit here. He's gonna give you some little tidbit of information
Yeah.
that you're like, whoa, it make you scratch your chin and think, I didn't know that. So that's why I love talking all of this canonical stuff with you. It's a good time.
It is going to be a good ride. And I think on that, there's a really good segue for us to kind of get into the non-spoiler review by setting the stage for where we were. So I think story-wise,
Mhm.
to be honest with you, we're probably going to stay away from that just because it's so easy to stray into spoiler territory. But what I would say is at the end of Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 1, we have our characters Keiko and Kate, who have been trapped in the Axis Mundi alongside Lee Shaw. They have been rescued, and Lee has stayed behind in the Axis Mundi. And what we discover when we come back into the world is that there appears to be some kind of uneasy alliance between Monarch, who obviously this whole series is about, but Apex Cybernetics, who were built up during the first season, and they're the organization responsible for Mechagodzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong. So you get that kind of as the stage for this series, and then you can imagine how this series potentially explores that relationship and all of the things around it. So that, I think, in a nutshell, is a nice way of entering into it. And now, without spoilers, I guess, to kind of talk a little bit about the approach to storytelling. What I really love with the second season of this show, and you'll have seen a large chunk of actually what I'm referencing here already with where you're up to, Brad. But what I really enjoy is the way that this show uses parallel storytelling. So for
Mhm.
anybody who has seen the first season, you'll know that elements of the show are set in the modern day, a very specific point in the modern day, and elements of the show are set in the past. And what I have really enjoyed, particularly in this season, is how they've used that to add a bunch of emotional weight to their storytelling by setting characters who often overlap on very similar trajectories in terms of paralleling their stories, having similar decisions playing out, and then you really get into the kind of weeds of the consequences of those decisions and actually how the characters perhaps perceive each other, and how realizing that actually they've been in similar situations, they then reflect on themselves as well. I just think that's such a unique way to use the parallel story thread of a story in the past and a story in the current day in a way that I've never really seen on television before. So I'm curious as to what
Yeah.
you thought about that, Brad, and if that's something you've picked up on so far.
Oh yeah, and honestly, when the show started, again, spoiler free, I felt like I was like, oh, are they gonna still go down that trajectory?
Yeah.
Are they gonna still? I know like certain people are still cast members and stuff, so I'm like, okay, I'm sure they are, but like I'm very hopeful that like, oh, we get to see all those same kind of parallels like we saw throughout season one, because that was honestly like just my favorite part of the storytelling, was being able to go to the 1950s or whatever and then skip ahead to the current day, or not current day, but like current day whenever it was, 2015, I think it was majority of season one. So yeah, I just love doing that, so I was hopeful that we'd get a lot more of that, and so far I've been very excited by all of those parallels like you're mentioning. And you just said like you've never seen like a show like that before, and I'll say I have, and this show is one that I really enjoyed. And I feel like this show here, Monarch, really reminds me of that. And this is going to be so confusing because like the context of the show doesn't really at all. But like there's a show on NBC a few years ago called This Is Us. Um, and it did the exact same thing that this show is doing by like going to the past and showing like in This Is Us, it's a story of like a family, right? And it's a family built from so many different pieces, and it shows like their trauma, their struggles, and like where they are now, but it also goes back and shows how they got there, right? And
Yeah.
that's what this show is. And I feel like I said earlier, some of my favorite parts of this show are the people. It's the heart that they've laid out that connects the past and the present. I love that. It's a show about the struggles of like their minds and like where, who they are as people, and and their loves of their lives and all this stuff. And it's just so connected to human storytelling, as well as, hey, there's a giant monster behind me. Like that
Yeah.
stuff's like
Yeah,
secondary, but like it's secondary, but man, is it good? Like all that secondary monster stuff. But like the context of the humans, and like that is just some of my favorite parts of this story. And I think this show, while I was watching it, I'm like, one of the most major critiques I think of the MonsterVerse films people have are the humans, and they say, "Oh, these humans stink.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of these humans. I don't learn anything about them. They don't change or whatever." And this show is like, "Hey, we're gonna tackle that head on. We're gonna
Yes.
get to the heart of these people. We're gonna make you love these people and these connections, and just feel for them, whatever you feel." And I love that about this show. It's really great with the human element.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're so spot on, and I'm really glad you've gone down that avenue, because you've touched on something that I really wanted to touch on, which is I think that there's so much weight and heft to the emotions throughout this season. Like they feel, the best way I can describe it is they feel really grounded, in the sense that actually you can picture characters going through those emotions, and actually especially in the latter half of the season, to not spoil anything for you, Brad, there are decisions that characters make where maybe you don't necessarily agree with the decision, but you can understand where they're coming from. You can understand their reasoning. And I like that actually these are very human characters, in the sense that you could see somebody fundamentally make what is a wrong decision, but you can understand how they get there. I think that's a real testament to skilled writers, to be able to create empathy with characters who are in those situations. I think, to your other point as well, what I really love with this season especially is it ties into a theme that I think, tying back into Jurassic, is such a core Jurassic theme that Jurassic hasn't really tackled this well, I feel, which is the theme, that kind of whole theme of these actually being animals, them having animal behaviors. They're not monsters, despite being titans. There's frequent moments where you can kind of see that these are ultimately animals, and living animals that are just trying to survive. And what I really like about that is the humans are then used to show that actually it isn't the titans that are the villains, it's the humans and their motivations for what they want the titans to do. I think that that parallels Jurassic in so many ways, but it's something that I feel like it's tiptoed around before, whereas this season does such a phenomenal job of going, okay, we're going to show you all of the different ways that people might think about exploiting titans, and it shows you what that looks like through a few different lenses. And I just think that's really cool storytelling as well.
Oh yeah, I think I would say they haven't necessarily tiptoed around it though. I think King of the Monsters is exactly that. Like it's like, hey
Yes,
man,
yeah.
these
Oh,
humans
no,
are
I'm
horrible
saying,
people.
yeah. I'm not saying MonsterVerse has tiptoed around it. I'm saying
Oh,
Jurassic in
okay.
contrast has, but it's a very similar
Sure.
theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said though, King of the Monsters is like, it's showing you why the humans are taking advantage of these kinds of
Yeah.
situations. And even Skull Island has done, the kind of natural, like animalistic setting, and it makes you feel like, oh wow, these are animals at their heart, and they're doing crazy wild things, but sometimes those crazy wild things are just what they do. It's not even them
Yeah.
attempting to be crazy or wild. It's just how they move. It's just how they look, and yeah, this show kind of succeeds in continuing that thought process in a big way. There's some just fantastic set pieces that showcase that, and there's fantastic like again with the human element, talking about like the decision making and stuff like that. There's things already that I'm like, man, like, whew, these are some compelling characters, some
Yeah.
compelling situations that they're getting themselves into, and yeah, at the core of it, you've got these. I'm just for shorthand gonna call them monsters, but like there's things
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what, but maybe I'll tell you off camera. But like sometimes I was like, oh, what do I call this thing? What should I say? And I kept making like
Yes.
little nicknames and things like that, and I'll have to share some of those with you because it's fun. But like yeah, it's such a great show for that kind of element, and I think it explores it in such even greater way than season one.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I think the reference to you made to kind of the tonality in regards to how it compares to King and the Monsters is really apt as well, because I think that actually this feels like a world where you could see Alan Jonah existing. So Alan Jonah is Charles Dance's character in King of the Monsters. He's the leader of the kind of eco-terrorist group, and you can kind of throughout this season you get a sense of, okay, there's things building here which maybe could escalate into something where that character then factors in. And I think equally throughout this season, it does a really good job of kind of sprinkling in things that feel tonally consistent with the other films and things that sort of hint up to the logic of the other films without directly connecting them. So that I think is what I kind of like, is there are those direct connections. There's moments where characters get name dropped, for example, or locations get mentioned. But what they really do here more broadly, I think, is tie into a lot of the undercurrents that led to the events that we see in the films. And I think that's really piqued my curiosity as a viewer, because that absolutely isn't the core focus of this show. The show is very much its own entity compared to the films, I'd say, although there is the overlap, and it does the overlap a lot better than other franchises. But what I think it has got is what I think it has done is it sprinkled those breadcrumbs where if it wanted to be a bit bolder in the future and maybe directly tied to something, there is now the opportunity to do that, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think a show like Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory, they did a great job of setting
Yes.
themselves within the world, right? But also they did a fantastic job of tying directly into events and things. And while
Yeah.
I watched this show, I even throughout season one, like, it's not directly tied to like any kind of thing this way or that way, but like the fact that it's set there and it's set within that universe so heavily, and they don't skimp on it at all, dude. Like
Mm.
I feel like you were saying some franchises don't like kind of go all in like that. This one goes all in on like letting you believe that this is still a part of that same world. It's still following that same trajectory. And I think when you watch Godzilla 2014, the the Monarch of it all, it's like it feels so small and quaint in
Yeah.
comparison to what you then get in King of the Monsters, and you're like,
Thinking of, yes.
whoa, how did we
Yeah.
get here, dude? And then honestly,
Yeah.
tenfold again in Godzilla versus Kong. It's like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Like the leaps and bounds that they're taking technology wise and things. You can kind of
Yeah.
see how that could unfold, I think, across events here, and just see like that competitive nature of things. And it's very cool at
Yeah.
connecting dots that like are there, that aren't there. And I think they do a great
Yeah.
job of like setting the stage in a big way.
I think you're so spot on. I mean, one thing that always sits in my mind for King of the Monsters is the scene where Dr. Graham and Dr. Serizawa are in the kind of Congress briefing room, and they've got the military with them as well. And there's a lot of stuff in this show that kind of hints how it gets to that point, but also there's a lot of the kind of inner machinations of government monarch collaboration, and how Monarch may have drastically scaled its operations up so quickly. Because when you look at where this show starts, I mean, already Monarch is quite large scale in terms of the technology it's using. and one of the locations particularly that this series kind of centers around. But then to look at King of the Monsters further afield, it's still so much dramatically bigger that this really gives you that
Yeah.
hint of, okay, this is kind of where we're going, which is really cool, I think.
Well, I think honestly, it all stems from G Day, right? Like it's like that was the day
Yes.
that we decided like we need to do something about this, and then
Yeah.
Monarch steps up, other companies step up, and they become what we end up seeing across the other films. But like the
Yeah.
fact that they kind of it shows you the path in this show is brilliant. And honestly, like even without all of that, the fact that they show you, in season 1, they show you literally the beginning day of Monarch, like
Yeah.
it's like this is step 1, this is who we were, and they show you how those ramifications from the early days are still relevant today. They're still imperative, and
Yes.
I love that. Like no matter how big these companies can get at any point trying to save the world, it can take one person, it can take one idea, it can whatever it is. It's interesting that it kind of follows those pathways and gets you there, even though it's the most massive scale thing you've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think again it's a testament to the phenomenal storytelling, and I think that really is what comes through throughout. I mean, I think I said to you at the start of this, I kind of, when I watched the first episode of season 2, I was a bit like, oh, okay, it's maybe a little bit slower. I was like, is it gonna go in the direction I want it to? But it immediately gripped me a couple of episodes in, and I think it did that a lot quicker than series 1 did. Where series 1, I feel like you're unfolding the mystery over time, whereas here you kind of get a pause, like a breather to reset, and then you're thrust straight back into this really interesting story that comes with lots of revelations along the way. And I just think that's such a good way to tell this kind of genre of story.
Yeah, and honestly, like starting episode 1, I'll be honest, I didn't do any catch up or anything. Like I didn't
Yeah,
rewatch anything. I know when this show came out the first time, I was like, I'm gonna rewatch every MonsterVerse thing. I'm gonna rewatch all
yeah,
the movies and kind of connect those dots. And then I didn't rewatch season 1. I actually, just before recording this, I decided, all right, let me watch a little recap. And I was like, oh yeah,
yeah,
I actually didn't need that, because I feel like this show really sets the stage well and advances
yeah,
the storytelling in a way that like I I was right back on board. And I didn't need all of that
yeah,
fluff, not to say season 1 was fluff, but like I didn't need all that extra to kind of set the stage for me. I felt like I knew where I was.
yeah,
The characters are memorable enough, and the story, I think the arcs that they had in season 1, I was like, oh yeah, that's right where we are. Let's go. Let's go head first, full of steam. Let's whatever. It was great.
yeah. Yeah, I think there's just so many cool things in this season as well, right? Like I've sat back and thought that exact thing, like this is great. Like one thing that has really stood out to me throughout actually is the cinematography for
Hmm.
some of the locations that they've used. So obviously you will have seen from the trailers and from the end of season 1 that Skull Island is a part of this series. And without going into that too much, I just think that there's some jaw like dropping visuals. Like there's a shot in episode 1 that I have in my brain right now that I just think is absolutely stunning. And I really feel like that's again such a big testament to this show, and the fact that I think a lot of shows, when they come from a cinematic universe and they make the step to the small screen, they lose some of the cinematic appeal. They kind of don't feel like they've got the same scale or the same access to locations and resources. But this
Hmm.
show really always feels like it's a MonsterVerse film split across several episodes, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like the biggest
Yeah.
contrast I could draw is Agents of Shield and the way that was handled, where you actually had, yes, it was fleeting, but you had things from the actual MCU films appearing in the show, and it actually felt like it had the same level of scale. I think that's what Monarch Legacy of Monsters has really kind of achieved quite well. In many ways, it is almost the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. of the multiverse. Or not the multiverse, the Monsterverse.
No, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. of the multiverse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't. Yeah, I loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I do think that felt so much smaller scale.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
at times it did feel very television to me. And
Yeah.
I don't feel that here. I mean, there's some elements where I CG wise, I was like, that might be a little iffy. But
Yeah.
I think I was more
Although
so.
it is worth noting, I do just want to jump in there quickly and say there is a disclaimer on our screeners that the visuals and some of the audio, etc., is still being finalized. So if we're talking about CGI and stuff like that, it might be different in the final release.
Exactly. I was going to say that too. And I've had those thoughts, honestly, with Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think we had that disclaimer back then, but this time we do. And also the way I was watching it, I was like, I'm sure it's probably just a little, transmittal error that I'm like, it's just something little like that. But otherwise, I will say, like, the monster work, dude, it just looks so good. Everything looks great. Those vistas, like you're talking about, of like the different settings, man, it looks fantastic. And the more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. like approach to some settings, I'm like, dude, this, I believe it. Like I'm fully in.
Yes,
like it looks
exactly.
It looks real. Like it looks like it's part of this universe in a great way. And it's not, it doesn't have that television lens on it, that makes you think, oh, this is just on ABC or NBC, like This Is Us, but some other shows. But I think it does a great job of copying that visual language, I think, from the films and carrying it forward and making you believe that this is a real part of that. But
you're so spot on, Brad. Like I think visual language is the exact thing. You've nailed it there. That it really, like, even down to the set design and things, like when you're seeing Monarch facilities and whatnot, it all feels very cohesive, which is exactly what you want. I think that the other thing with this is really cool is you mentioned animals. And something that I will touch on is the fact that this series introduces some new fauna. So, minor spoiler, but I'm going to mention it. It is in a trailer that has been released on the official channels. I think it came out yesterday. But there's like a new species of almost pterosaur that you see on Skull Island. And there are other animals that you see throughout the show. And I think what I really loved with that especially, and that creature that they've shown, is it felt like it fit straight in with the animals that we saw in the Skull Island movie. And I kind of was sat there like, this literally feels like I'm getting an expansion of this movie. Got a little bit too close to spoilers there, so Monarch Intelligence stepped into the call. But as I was saying, I think it's really that attention to detail that you don't often see when those bigger IPs make the transition to television. Like, there's very rare examples of it. I mean, The Mandalorian's a great example. That feels like the Star Wars world. But I think here, this show is achieving that same standard of quality. And it's for an IP that I would argue is a lot smaller than something like Star Wars. So I think the fact that they've been able to pull it off with the kind of quality that they have is really remarkable.
Now, remind me, when is the next movie coming? Supernova, when is that?
I feel like it's next year. It's next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 2027. So I was just wondering, like, oh, maybe this show can make the leap into the films. So it's like we go from films to television and back to films, because that's what Mandalorian's doing. It's going into the films.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, I would still love crossover, even bigger. Even more. But yeah. I think
you just want the Jurassic Park X Monsterverse crossover. Like, oh my god, there's an old abandoned InGen facility on Skull Island. What the hell? Well, Skull Island was Site B.
No, Skull Island was. Isle Saint Hubert or whatever. It's literally the same
Oh, Saint
location.
Skull.
Ile Saint Hubert. But speaking on that kind of parallel, there's a lot of this show, and I'm feeling it even heavier like this season. That just is. It feels like a live action Camp Cretaceous chaos theory kind of show.
Yeah.
Like there's so many elements that feel like a parallel there. Like it's almost like it feels like there was purposeful connection in a lot of ways, and in the ways that those two shows connected to the movies, this feels like it's doing that same connective tissue to the movies. And there's parallels there that I do want to talk about in the future at some point. But yeah, I'm excited to get into that conversation eventually.
Well, I'm excited for our spoiler deep dive after this show. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think the one of the things that I find really interesting, and I'm really excited to talk about that as well, in that spoiler discussion, is the interplay between different organizations. So obviously we know that it's Monarch and Apex, but I think you see a lot of that in this season, and those kinds of dynamics evolve, and it goes in some really interesting directions that I don't think people would have necessarily seen coming. So I really enjoyed a lot of that.
Yeah, I am very excited because, like we've talked about already, like they set that stage already in the films, but at such a different time period that I love that interplay at such an earlier stage that like it makes you wonder, and that's the kind of detail that makes you go back to the movies and just know that the connection's not there yet in the film, but in the background, that connection is being made.
Yeah.
That connection, whatever that connection is, it's there, and I love that about this show. So that's pretty excellent. I can't wait to see where that progresses to. And yeah, it's also part of it's part of that human element and that part of the storytelling that I'm really excited about watching.
I think a big part of the storytelling that I was really excited about with this season, alongside all of that, was how they were gonna, or I suppose if they were going to continue to explore the Axis Mundi. And what I would say on that is I really love how this second season lets us learn more about that environment, and it unfolds in a very interesting way that's very pertinent to the storytelling throughout. Now, you and I will probably be having a discussion after you're a couple more episodes deep, Brad, but I think there's some very interesting stuff.
Oh, well, I'll just have to wait and see, man. Don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it.
I'm gonna message you straight after this recording.
No, see, so this is why I do struggle with spoiler-free content, because in a lot of cases we are both the ones who have the information, right? And we're trying to relay our excitement in the most interesting way possible without saying anything. So a lot of times I just parallel it to what we've already seen in films and trailers or whatever.
I feel like so with what I've just said, you saying that has actually prompted the perfect way for me to describe it, which is, I think in season 1 we're on the fence with Axis Mundi, right? Because we knew we had the Hollow Earth, and we were like, oh, actually need this new location, or is it really just a way to give them a little bit more flexibility in terms of what they do with it? The second season really emphasizes that there is a reason for that location existing, and it's used in a really, really cool way that does some absolutely insane character work. And that is all I will say.
Yeah, please don't say any more. I feel like we're getting close to the edge here. We're about to fall into a massive hole in the earth. I'm about to get sucked in.
I nearly said something that would have been very non-PG then, so I'm glad I didn't.
But yes, in this case, this time around, you've got a handful more episodes under your belt than I do, so I'm feeling like Man, I don't like doing this now because like now you know more
I
than
love
I
how
do.
we're making this sound like I've somehow got given more access than you have. That's not the case. You're
No,
just a
that's not the
busy man,
case.
and you've
I'm
been
just
at a toy
slower
fair.
yeah, I've been trying to catch up. We've had plenty of time to watch this. We've had it for a while now, but I just did not get around to it all. But you know, the good thing is it doesn't matter. We don't need that information right
Exactly.
now. So yeah, but we
Exactly.
will get to all of that in many episodes
We
coming
will.
out as the show
And,
debuts.
yeah.
So that's exciting.
So we're going to do an episode by episode play by like we did last time, and I think we'll probably do a spoiler discussion as well. There are a couple more bits I want to talk about on the
Hit 'em up.
non-spoiler. The first of which is the use of the score throughout this. So I remember with the first season, I made a point of saying to you, "Oh, I didn't really notice the score," and I felt that was a bit unfair on me because I sort of just downplayed it. But I think actually in the second season, especially, what I really love is the way they play with the arrangement of the Monarch Legacy of Monsters theme. So the theme has obviously got specific chords to it you'd recognise. And there's moments throughout this season where whenever you get a revelation or something that's important to the plot, you can kind of hear the variations of the theme in the background. And they're a little bit different every time. And I just thought that was a really cool way of kind of giving it that feel of mystery and intrigue through the score.
Yeah, and I think there was one particular moment for me that I notated. I didn't do a lot of work on the score yet, but one particular moment stood out to me that I was like, "Oh man, that is beautiful. That is beautiful." I think it does blend really well because it, like you said, it's not standing out in a way to me that's distracting or anything like that. But it's blended in so well. But this one scene, I was like, man, that is awesome. So I'm looking forward to more of that. And I do think the tone, it sets that tone so incredibly well. It's because this show is all about mystery and intrigue, and that score is so mysterious and intriguing. So it fits it really well.
I would do my rendition of it from our previous recording again, but I think it was just so spot on the first time that people don't
I had
need
it in
to
my
hear
head.
it again, you know?
I had it in my head as you were talking. I was
so the other thing I want to touch on, and I guess this is more just a tease than anything, but it's something that I was really impressed with, which is a lot of the time when you get these kinds of shows and they connect to a film, they want to get you to see a film or a piece of material through a different lens, but it's done in a way that often feels quite slapdash, and it sort of feels like it's not particularly natural. There is a moment in this season that recontextualizes one of the MonsterVerse films, and it is one of the most beautiful moments of television I have seen.
Oh man, dude. See, this is what I'm talking about. I don't like it when you've seen this stuff and I gotta sit here and wait. I'm like the audience, dude. I'm the listener right now.
You are welcome to my podcast.
Oh man, you're getting me excited though. You're getting me excited. I got a few more episodes. I can watch them right after this, but so sorry everybody.
Brad, not right after this. We've got work.
No, we've got more. We've got more stuff to
do. And then my closing kind of thought that I wanted to end on is, I think all of this season is really strong, particularly the second half. But if you want episodes that you want to bring popcorn for, and you also want to have your tissues handy for, those are episodes 7, 9, and 10. They were my absolute standouts this season.
Okay, that's incredible because I have not gotten there yet. I would say the popcorn has been ready 1 through 5 so far. I've been like, dude, it's just like cinematic. It's the scale is massive. The dynamics of the characters, dude, it's all so good. But I can't wait for what do you say, 7, 9, and 10?
7, 9, and 10. Yeah.
Okay, man. I'm gonna go heat up some popcorn once we're done here and power through. Because we got a lot to talk about. I'm excited, man. That's Getting me hyped, dude. We've got a lot to talk about this season.
Yeah.
Like we said, we're going to be doing breakdowns episode by episode, and we run down the entire plot. So if you do listen to those, just be warned, there will be spoilers in those episodes for that particular episode. We're not going to jump ahead, and we're not going to spoil anything from future episodes. It's just going to be a breakdown of that particular episode. So don't worry, we won't spoil anything there. And yeah, I'm very excited about this. And while watching the show, I want to go back now and now watch all the MonsterVerse movies that I didn't catch up on again. But yeah, it's a ride that I'm loving. I love doing these breakdowns of episodes with you, so that's going to be a heck of a good time. And I know it's a break from the typical Jurassic content, but this is what we want. I think as Jurassic fans, we want something as brilliant as this can be, and I think it's like a longing feeling, right? Like I just kind of want.
I mean, it's setting such a high bar. Like if Universal, obviously there were rumors a little while ago about a live action series, and that never came to fruition. I think if Universal are seriously thinking about taking Jurassic onto the small screen, this is absolutely setting the bar for what the storytelling should be. Like there's no way, especially with this season, that you can say that big creatures can't come to the small screen, because this quite literally stomps all over that.
Yeah, man, it's traumatic. I can't believe we've not gotten a live action show at this point. But man, if you're a fan of big creatures, monsters, and dinosaur-like creatures and good character-based storytelling, this is what Jurassic fans, I think, have been longing for in a television show.
Yeah.
And that dialogue between the past and the present, it's something I'm looking forward to. Canonically, like it's leaps and bounds above how like Rebirth attempted to do any kind of canonical ties. And man, is it
Wait,
fun.
what? There were canonical ties in Rebirth?
I don't know. But anyway, catch this week by week. This is coming out before the show comes out. So stay tuned for all of those episodes as they debut. And but Tom, where can people find you in the meantime if they want to talk about the MonsterVerse or Jurassic?
Yeah, you can find me at Tom_Jurassic on Twitter, Instagram, and at Jurassic Collectibles on YouTube.
I feel like you haven't done that in a while. You're like, wait, where am I?
I was genuinely like sat thinking about that. Yeah.
Well, you can find me over on the Jurassic Park Podcast, usually every other week. Live streams every week over on YouTube, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. EST. You can also find me on the Forcecast talking about Star Wars. You can hear me talk about theme parks and pop culture on Grim Grinning Hosts. That's another podcast.
You can find him live in New York City as well.
Yeah,
on
you might be able to see
days
me
when there's a toy fair in town.
You can go find my Letterboxd over on Letterboxd and search for Brad Jost. I'm over there as well. But I'm not really doing the whole social media thing too much other than the Jurassic Instagram. So other than that, that's about it. Thank you, everybody, for watching this. As always, we like to remind everybody to stay safe and be kind, and we'll see you next time.